The day of the Chunin exams had finally arrived. Many ninja teams from all across the 5 great villages gathered together in Konoha for the exams. There was a feeling of excitement and also anxiety that was in the air. The other nations were very much aware of the special parameters that were being taken for these exams, as well as Dr. Katasuke and his especially made team that had yet to show themselves. Boruto, Sorcerer, and Lee were already gathered together, along with the other Konoha rookie teams. Among them, there was Team Saratobi, that was consisted of Shikadai Nara, Inojin Yamanaka, and Chocho Akamichi, as well as the specially coordinated Team Zero, that was being headed by Moegi, a team consisting of genin that participated in the Genin Apprentice program, making it of Sumire, Hoki, Takatori, and finally Mitsuki. Of course, there were other teams that were also sizing up the competition. Powerful ones from the Sand Village, the Stone Village, the Cloud Village, and even the Hidden Mist. It was only just before the exams were set to start that the final team would show themselves. And safe to say, once they arrived to the training site, they definitely stole everyone's attention. First, a boy with silver hair who called himself Obadiah. Along with him, another young man with dark black hair who called himself Amadeus Cho. And finally, the real attention seeker of the group was what appeared to be a young girl, except there was one thing different about her compared to most girls. She wasn't human. At least, she damn sure didn't look human. She looked like something straight out of a sci-fi comic book, something out of movies or fiction given form. There were even jonin that were a bit unsettled by this. What the hell was that mad doctor up to? What kind of stunt was he trying to pull? The thing at least talked like a human, or at least tried to act like one, but it was clear that it was just mechanical. Whatever chakra or energy that it was giving off, if any at all, it wasn't coming from a beating heart at least. Naruto himself just simply shook his head. This is what the doctor had been up to. I guess he wasn't kidding when he said he was really trying to replace Shinobi. Chavez was assessing the situation as well, and she was a bit perturbed. With everything that was taking place, it was clear to see what was happening. So, after all this time, they're finally starting to crop up, she said to herself. They must be offshoot variants in this dimension. But still, of all times, why would variants start making their way here? Has the effects of Naruto meeting Dr. Strange really affected this dimension to such a degree? When dealing with traveling from various dimensions and different universes, you come to learn about many terms and lingo. And for America Chavez, what she had come to learn specifically were things known as variants, oftentimes seen as different versions of oneself from a different universe. You already know the drill with how variants work, so there's no need for me to explain it. But in all the time that she had been in this world, she had never once come across anything that was alarming. No variants, nothing else, outside of Agatha Harkness, but she had passed away a long time ago. But now, a boy by the name of Obadiah, another boy known as Amadeus Cho, who was rather popular in other places, and then there was literally the bride of Ultron, Jocasta. Although, and chances are, whatever origin story this Jocasta had, it probably wasn't connected to Ultron. But still, to even have a variant of her in this world Just what in the hell was the doctor up to? She definitely would have to investigate him when the exams were over. As for the two boys in question, the silver-haired one named Obadiah was carrying with him a briefcase. It was metallic and silver in nature, while the other boy carried a similar briefcase, but instead was that of red with streaks of gold. No one knew what was in them, but they were the tools that they were going to be using for the exams. For Naruto, while he was allowing for scientific ninja tools to be used, all of them had to be registered before the exams could even begin. Whatever the children brought into the exams was what they were allowed to use. Once the exams started, they couldn't receive any more tech or anything of that nature. So basically, they had to use whatever they started with until the very end. Of course, they were free to make any repairs to the tools that they had already brought, but no new tools could be added. And for Dr. Katasuke, this was more than fair. After all, by his calculations, they wouldn't even need to use their tools until the finals, and that was assuming they met anyone that was even worthy of making them use that level of power. With that being said, the proctor of the first exam would be Sai, the head leader of the Hidden Leaf Village's Ambu squad. Just like in the original timeline, the first exam test would be the same as before, with a question being proposed to the teams and with 2 stages put in place. Each team as a collective would have to decide on what the answer would be and stand on that platform. Just as in the original story, both platforms would cave in, leaving to a well of ink below them. Of course, the real purpose of the question was to see whether or not each team would have their own strength and resolve to be capable of overcoming the obstacle before them. In a way of speaking, when a ninja goes on a mission, oftentimes they're left with many choices that they have to make. It could be as simple as standing in the fork in the road and having to decide whether you must go left or right. Of course, you could have all the information in the world. You could have all the data that's needed, and you could logically make the most correct choice possible. But sometimes it's just not enough. Sometimes you can meet your destiny on the very road that you take to avoid it. And no matter what road you take, you will always have obstacles that you must overcome. And the goal of a shinobi is to overcome those obstacles. For Boruto and his team, they passed the first test, each one managing to cling to the surface and save themselves. As for the newly made team in question, well, the one known as Jocasta was able to grab her teammates effortlessly and hover them in the air, stopping them from even falling in the first place. It just showed how effective she truly was. And, without a care in the world, they would advance to the next stage of the exams, which would be good old-fashioned capture the flag. It took inspiration from the Forest of Death, only with Naruto in this new era, they wanted to avoid as much death as possible. As such, the capture the flag game would go as follows. Your goal was to capture the flag of an enemy team, as well as maintaining and keeping your own flag. A special portion of the village district area was being sealed off for the exams, as it would be fought out on the rooftops. Boruto would be tasked with guarding his team's flag, while both Lee and Sarada would go and capture an enemy flag. It was here where Boruto would be faced with his test, coming face to face with a team of Miss Ninja. One in particular who was pretty confident in his abilities to beat Boruto, and was looking to add a little fame to his name. I get to kick the ass of Lord Seven's son. That's definitely going to help my standings in the Chunin exams. If you think so, then by all means go ahead. I'll let you throw the first punch. Give it your best shot. You asked for it. Ninja art, wire style, wire clone jutsu. Immediately, 8 water clones would appear behind the boy as Boruto looked at his surroundings. Impressive. Water clones. Why am I not surprised? Is that the best you can do? Cheeky little bastard, aren't you? I don't think you've noticed, but you're entirely surrounded. Fight all you want, it's not really gonna work. But I can tell you what's gonna happen though. First, I'm gonna kick your ass. And I hope your papa's watching so that when you're on the ground and you're crying, maybe he can come over and kiss your boo-boos if he has time for that. Then, I'm gonna take your flag and walk out of here. And when your teammates come back and they see that you failed, well, you'll have the grand pleasure of explaining to them why you're a loser. You know, I can't really fault you there. I really am a loser. I'm the worst type of loser there is because I hate it. And you're gonna get to know what it's like to lose first in personal. Boruto held up one finger. You think I'm surrounded, but actually, you are. Weaving a series of single-handed hand signs, the water clones that surrounded him all started to grow and puff up. The Mist Ninja looked surprised as they all started to burst and change, with the water completely surrounding them. And then the water instantly rose, forming the crystal ice mirrors, with Boruto's reflected in all of them. Now who's surrounded? But if you won't make the first move, I will. Before the boy even knew what hit him, he caught a series of punches and kicks in full force and ferocity, Boruto getting a chance to test out that new strength he'd gained over his training period. And the Mist Ninja was beaten into a pulp, with Sarada and Lee returning with the flag in hand, and just in time to see Boruto's handiwork. There were other teams that were able to perform admirably as well, but among them, there was Dr. Katasuke's team. They were, just as you would expect, easily capable of winning, self-sufficient, and they hadn't even shown what they were capable of. The doctor wasn't surprised at all. It was all going exactly how he had planned it. By the time the exams were over, only 5 teams had advanced to the finals of the Chunin exams. That being Team Chavez, Team Sarutobi, Team Moegi, Team Shinki, and finally, Team Katasuke. 15 participants in total. With that, a random generator would put together the brackets that were needed for the final rounds of the Chunin exams that were going to be taking place in just 4 days' time. This would give time for the various Kage of the other villages to arrive, as all 5 Kage would be present for the exam, along with others who were going to be showing to the massive event. For Boruto, his training had finally come to fruition, as he was able to help his team in advancing to the finals of the Chunin exams. But still, he knew that his work wasn't cut out just yet, because getting to the finals was one thing, but he had vowed to win. And there were a few targets on his hit list, among them Dr. Katasuke's team, but he knew just as easily they were gunning for him as well. And then there was Mitsuki, the boy that handed him his most agonizing defeat. It was time to get his revenge. Although, that'd be a bit too dark and morbid. Redemption. Maybe that was the better way of putting it. The chance to redeem himself, to prove that he had what it took, to show his father what he was capable of. Just leading up to the exams, Naruto would take a moment to meet with his son, congratulating him on getting this far. I'm really proud of you, Boruto. I heard about the training you went through with Konohamaru and with Zabuza. I can tell that you've really been putting in an effort, but you always have. I am sorry though, Boruto, Naruto would say to his son with a solemn look. I can't help but feel like I got you dragged into something that you had no business getting in. I have my own quarrels with Dr. Katasuke, and I let him bait me into letting him use the tuning exams as a way of showing off his scientific ninja tools. And well, I just don't want you to do anything that might get you really hurt. I know these exams are about showing what you're truly capable of, a place to display your skills. But if anything goes wrong, I don't want you to feel like you need to keep going, or that you have to persist to try to prove something to me. I'm already proud of you. I always have been. And I know that I don't really get to show it as often as I could. You and Hima, you guys have to put up with so much with me and your mom. When she's running the hospital and I'm trying to run a village, we're not around as often as we should be. And I guess I just want to, Dad. It's okay, really. Sure, I probably did jump in when I didn't need to. But I didn't like the way that Dr. Katasuke was talking to you. The way he was talking about our village, our shinobi. He has no right to look down on us. Sure, things aren't perfect, but nothing in this world ever is. And I do wish that certain things could be better in our life. But at the very least, I'm happy with where I'm at. And I'm proud of who I am. I may not know what I want to do with my life. I may not know what I want to be. But I know one thing. I want to win. And I want to win these exams and show why being a shinobi is the best thing in this world. And I want to show that everything I learned wasn't for nothing. Boruto would smile at his father happily as he raised his fists. Just watch me and wish me luck. Of course I will, son. I know you'll do great. I believe it. With that, Boruto felt that he had the confidence of his father. Everything he needed to go into these exams and to give it his all. The odds might have been stacked against him, and there were many powerful foes all around. But Boruto was determined to overcome them all, to make it to the top, and to be number one. In the meantime, Mitsuki would be sitting in his apartment with Jiraiya as the two of them were having a conversation before the exams. You've made a lot of progress, Mitsuki. I'm really proud of the effort that you've put into your training. Thank you, Master Jiraiya. I owe everything that I've learned to you. Although, I do have one question. Why have you barred me from using Sage Mode? Do you not trust me with the power? It's actually a proof of my trust in you, Mitsuki. While there's no rule technically against you using it, from what I've been able to observe, Sage Mode puts a massive strain on your body. It's hard for you to control, isn't it? To a degree. Tsunade studied you over the last time you attempted to use it. It did a lot of harm to your body. I believe that prolonged use of Sage Mode could lead to irreversible damage. I have no doubt that you have the capabilities of mastering it someday, but right now, it would only do you more harm than good. And besides, I don't believe that you need that power to go far. At least not for exams. That's why I've only put the stipend upon you, that you must only use Sage Mode in a dire situation, whenever you're trying to save a life or protect yourself. Only in a situation like that could I condone the use of such a dangerous technique. But as far as trust is concerned, I have all of the trust and the utmost confidence in your ability. Despite what you've come from, you've been able to forge your own path. I'm not sure what you have plans to do, but I know that whatever you pick in life, you will have success. It doesn't matter where you've come from or what anyone thinks. Your life is your own, and what you choose to make of it, that is of your own volition. The only thing I can do is help you along the way. Jiraiya would smile as he ruffled Mitsuki's hair. And for some reason, Mitsuki felt a sense of warmth from his master. He never forgot the conversation he had with Dormammu, who told him that he was nothing but a moon that stole the light of a sun. And maybe that was the truth. Perhaps Mitsuki wasn't capable of forming his own individual person of ideology or his own identity. His beliefs, anything he stood for, maybe it was all the concoction of the product that he was created from. But Mitsuki did have one choice. The choice of who his son would be. And at the very least with Master Jiraiya, he saw someone that was flawed. Someone that wasn't perfect. Someone that made mistakes. And yet even still, someone who lived life to the fullest. Someone who irradiated this glow and energy that was just infectious. And for Mitsuki, that was what he wanted to envelop in himself. And for that reason and that reason alone, he would gladly follow behind his master. If anything, just to see the world as he did. And so Mitsuki had his own wishes to prove that his master's trust wasn't misplaced, that he could be more than what many would have labeled him as being. It was only thanks to him that he was given a chance at life, a chance to make of it as he saw fit, and he wanted to repay that kindness tenfold by doing his best in the exams. The next day, fireworks would go off from the arena as people were gathered together for the finals of the Chunin exams. The bracket was set and put into place, showing everyone what the final rounds would consist of. The Chunin exams would be a 15-man tournament. With the odd number of participants, one of them would have the lucky privilege of getting a bye in the first round, and that just so happened to went to Obadiah. As for everyone else, in the first round, it would be as follows. Metal Lee Harino versus Shinki of the Sand. Jocasta versus Chocho. Sarada versus Arya of the Sand. Boruto Uzumaki versus Sumire. Hoki Takatori versus Inojin Yamanaka. Yodo of the Sand versus Mitsuki of the Leaf. And Amadeus Cho, the final representative of Team Katasuke versus Shikadai Nara. Many in the crowd were excited for what were to come, to see the promising young shinobi all gathered together for the Chunin exam finals, to see the tournament that would take place, and to finally crown the winner. Naruto and the other Kage, all seated in the main box area, would welcome everyone to the finals of the Chunin exams. As all the participants stood lined up in the center of the arena, spectators to the crowd and everyone cheering for them. However, in the midst of celebration, there was sinister work ahead. For you see, off in the mountainous regions of the Land of Lightning, where the Cloud Village resided, in the private residency of the Jinchuriki of the Eight Tails, the shinobi known as Killer Bee found himself lying on the ground, and hovering above him, 3 celestial beings, absorbing what remained of his chakra. Killer Bee would then poof and turn into an octopus tentacle, with one of the beings remarking that they had been tricked. It seems that the Eight Tails is more crafty than we gave him credit. To only leave behind a sliver of his power, using it as cover for him to plan his escape, Urashiki would say. If you give me an opportunity, I'm sure I could fish him out again. No need for any of that, Momoshiki said, as he finished off absorbing the chakra of the Eight Tails from the single tail that had been left behind. He'd be too weak to offer anything to us anyway, and this is more than sufficient. But you can feel that gathering of chakra, can't you? The 9 tails, and even the 1 tails, Kinshiki would say. It's towards the east. To have 2-tailed beasts gathered together, and to have one as prudent as the 9 tails, it's more than sufficient for what we'll need. We'll set our sights in that area. The 1 tails and the 9 tails will provide us with ample substance. And from there, we can finish the work that Kaguya should have. This concludes Boruto, the Sorcerer's Son. What if Boruto was a sorcerer? Season 1, Part 8. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. And stay tuned tomorrow evening as we'll continue with What If Boruto Was a Sorcerer, Season 1, Part 9. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.